Education is crucially important. All of us know that. But you may not know education's backstory. In the early 1800s, Napoleon Bonaparte was campaigning all over Europe, winning just about every battle he started. In the process, he initiated a change in education that would last to this day. In 1806, he went up against Prussia, a kingdom that would later become the largest part of Germany, and soundly defeated them. His amateur soldiers bested their elite soldiers, the famous hussars. In the aftermath, Prussia made sure they would never suffer a failure like that again. In their stern German way, Prussia totally reinvented their education system, installing a universal, compulsory, nationally run, compliance-based school system. Sound familiar? It should. It's the model the U.S. adopted, thanks to John Dewey. But against this backdrop of state-mandated, non-optional educational conditioning, there was a bright, shining light, someone who thought and felt differently, and his name was Wilhelm von Humboldt. To Humboldt, education wasn't the filling of a bucket. It wasn't taking the blank slates of young minds and stamping them with what the state wants them to know. No. To Humboldt, it was the lighting of a fire. At an ideal level, it was a no-holds-barred, free-swinging intellectual course of study for all, full of variety and free debate, rich in experience, and most of all, with personalized curricula. In short, it was the process of growing and becoming. Unfortunately, Humboldt's ideas didn't win over the implacable administrative minds of the Prussians. Compulsory school came to rule Prussia and eventually the whole world. Humboldt's ideas did, however, find a foothold somewhere ironic: the German military. The High Command used Humboldt's ideas not to train the rank and file, but to truly educate their senior officers. That training emphasized individual apprenticeships, week-long field evaluations, extended written discursive evaluations of junior officers by senior officers who personally knew the candidates. And what was the result of such a thorough exercise? In both World War I and World War II, German armies inflicted 30% more casualties than they suffered, no matter who they fought, and no matter if they were on offense or defense. Turns out, a true education, one that considers you as a whole person, works way better than one that's forced on you. Surprise! Would you like to have an educational experience like that? Would you like to be 30% more effective, no matter what situation you're in, no matter who you're talking to, or what you're talking about? Well, you can. And you're right in the middle of it. Toastmasters is built around Humboldt's principles, a journey of growing and becoming. It's a high-level course of study for all, full of variety, rich in experience, and most of all, with personalized curricula. I know you'll get everything you want out of Toastmasters because you've already overcome the biggest obstacle, the fear of moving from your known and safe world into the unknown world of Toastmasters. You had no idea what you'd find here, aside from some broad expectations, and that movement takes courage, and you've proven that you have it. Somewhere inside, you knew you could get better. You knew what you are today is the seed of what you'll be tomorrow. And now that you've taken your first step, keep going. If you wanted to quantify the potential value of your Toastmasters journey, think about this. If you work all the way through to DTM, Distinguished Toastmaster, you'd have the equivalent presentation experience of getting a master's degree in public speaking. But the difference is that you won't just have studied communications and given 1 to 2 speeches per class. You'll have researched, written, delivered, and worked on 45 to 50 speeches and presentations, in addition to coaching and mentoring several other members who joined Toastmasters after you. You're not just a student, you're a teacher too. And that's only the speaking part of Toastmasters. There's an entire leadership component as well, which is both deep and significant. Think about how good you'll be after going through that kind of experience. And even though we try to quantify the experience, the actual value of your practice of speaking and thinking and presenting is almost endless. Why? Because you're investing in yourself. You're developing your skills and abilities, your insight and articulation, which we'll use from this day until you're gone. And you're doing it right here in the most real and dynamic way, following the most effective educational principles there are. And now, the most important part. You are here for a purpose. You are important. So important that the Creator of all things brought you into being, bestowed you with a personality and a mind and free will to do with what you choose. And God did this because you matter. What you do matters because there are things that only you can do, things that only you can see. And we need you. We need each other for a richer, deeper life. As you grow and become and discover, learn how to share your vision. Communication is your superpower that transmits your vision to others. Toastmasters is a communication method. It teaches you the mechanics, and that practice helps you hone your craft. But the magic that lives in you only blossoms when you do it. So with this practice, you are engaged in the real work of this life, the growing and becoming, the realization of an improved self. And that self presents a personalized vision of truth and beauty and goodness that lifts you and everyone you touch. Toastmasters gives you the platform, the program, the permission, but none of that means anything without you. You are the transformative agent that blends your experience and perspective and practice into a gift of shining alchemy that illuminates the rest of us. Stay with this education long enough, and when the time comes, when that crucial moment arrives, you'll transform and uplift your world. Do you want a real education? Of course. Then now is your time. This is your place. So come up here. Show us who you are and who you are becoming.